Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another session of Advanced Digital Communication. So, in previous session, we discussed a few concepts related to, say, NRZ and RZ representation with respect to polar format, and we obtained the same using the Simulink. Now, in today's class, what we'll be doing is we'll be trying to implement PCM using Simulink and try to get back the pulse code modulated data back into its regular form. Say if I pass a sine wave with some particular frequency, I sample it, quantize it. So quantized value will give me the PCM representation. After that, I'll do the reverse process and try to get back the original information. So this implementation, that is pulse code modulation, this experiment will be will be conducting using the Simulink tool. So before going into the aspect of pulse code modulation, what does pulse code modulation involve is first thing I should have some samples as the input, and using those samples, I'll be quantizing those values. So first, basically what is meant by sampling? Sampling is nothing but when you have a continuous signal, and if you when you have a continuous signal and if you sample it with some particular sampling frequency or at particular sampling rate, then I'll be getting a sequence which is called as sample. Say for example, I have any signal, and in this signal, what I do is I'll take samples at some particular interval. I'll not take the entire signal. I'll be just taking some few of the samples. Same, it might be one sample here, one sample here, next sample will be here, next sample here, and so on, based on where all the signal is present. And say this time period will be fixed for all. Say if it is t over here, next t period, one another sample, next t period, another sample. So this is what sampling frequency or sampling period implies. Now, when we are taking samples, right, we should keep in mind one the same condition or criteria, which is called as Nyquist criteria. So that is Fs greater than equal to 2 times Fm. So in these two cases, right? Sorry, in these cases, Fs is the sampling frequency what you are choosing. So which basically decides how many samples you will be having for a particular given for a particular given signal. And Fm is the maximum frequency which is present in the band limited signal. Now this condition has to be satisfied in order to avoid something called as aliasing. If aliasing is present, then recovery of the signal at the receiving end or at the other end becomes difficult. Suppose, for example, if I transmit a sine wave and if I don't sample it properly and I transmit it, say, using your modulation techniques, say ASK, PSK, and at the other end I do the reverse. And if I try to get back the signal, I might not be getting the sine wave. I might be getting some distorted signal, which might be in any form, depending on how the sampling has happened. So when we are doing this, we should take care that this condition is satisfied. First sampling is done. Then after that we go for quantization. So sampling, in this sampling, I'll be getting the samples of the signals what we are considering. Then after that we go ahead with quantization. In quantization, what we do is we assign some digital values to the samples what we have obtained. For example, I just showed one rough sketch over there. So I take the first sample, I take the next sample, I take the third, fourth, so on, I can continue. Say for this one, if I'm using say 3 bits, so it is 0 volt, I might assign say 000. So this one is say around 1.2, so it is close to 1. It depends on how you want to, how the quantization is implemented. So this might be 001. So this sample is also close to 1.2, so it is close to 1 volt. So again, this might be assigned as 001. If this is very close to 0, this might be assigned as 000, or it might be assigned as 001. So in this way, I can have some digital representation for each of the samples what we get. So quantization basically assigns some digital values to the samples what you have obtained by the process of sampling. Now here one thing to notice is I can have three conditions over here. First one, Fs is less than 2 times Fm, so which is actually called as under sampling. Next condition is Fs is equal to 2 times Fm, which is called as critical sampling, or sometimes it is called as uniform sampling. And the last condition is Fs is greater than 2 times Fm, which is called as oversampling. So these are the conditions what we can check out when we are doing these all checks. That is, I sample with all the three conditions. I quantize those values. Once I quantize, I send it to the receiver. The receiver has to try to identify and try to recover the information from whatever is being received, and try to see what was the signal which was sent. So try to recover the information. So pulse code modulation, you will be doing these things. This I'll not discuss. So I'll just show a MATLAB program before we go ahead with the Simulink. So what is actually happening with respect to sampling, and then we'll go ahead with the quantization. Here we have just the sampling code. So here I have just taken the sampling code. This is 0.25 in this case. So X is the X is the signal, sinusoidal signal, which will be passed through the sampling process. Now this t is equal to 4 FM, that is the maximum frequency present in this signal is 1 by t, that is 0.25. So let us consider it as 0.25 hertz. Now here what we are doing is, so here we can just observe that Fs is equal to 1.6 times Fm. So this is Fs1 here implies for undersampling condition. So if I use Fs1 for sampling this signal, so this implies that I am doing undersampling. And what happens at the recovery stage? So Fs2 is 2 times, which is critical or uniform sampling. Then if I use Fs3, say I have written it as 18, what I'll do is I'll reduce it to say probably 8, because I have to change some other parameters over there. Just to avoid that, I'm just making it 8. So it is 8 into Fm, so which is actually greater than 2 times Fm. So this is oversampling condition. So here we can just observe what is happening. X1 cos 2 pi Fm divided by Fs1. So this is equivalent of sampling what we observe. So this is equivalent of the sampling what we are observing in this case. So Fm is divided by Fs1. So I'll be getting n number of samples over there. So here n1 has to be chosen based on what multiplication factor you are choosing. So that we'll not be discussing over here. So this is undersampling condition wherein I am using Fs1 to sample this signal X. To sample the signal X, because X is defined by what? 2 pi Fm into T. So now the same this thing, what I am doing is I am sampling it with respect to the sampling frequency. So this equation is nothing but 2 pi Fm into n into capital T. N into capital T. So where n decides, n is equal to 0, 1, 2 in this form, and T is the sampling frequency. So it is n into T. So T is equal to 1 by Fs. T is equal to 1 by Fs. That T refers to the sampling frequency what you are choosing. Sampling frequency, it is not this one. It is not this one. It is n into say in I would specify it as n into Ts. N into Ts. So Ts is equal to 1 by Fs. Therefore, this equation turns out to be 2 pi Fm divided by Fs1 into N1. And we are just plotting it. Then what we are doing is, again we are just using say linear interpolation and seeing how the signal appears. So similarly we are doing it for the other cases. So critical sampling, I am using Fs2. I am again using say linear interpolation and trying to see what would happen. Then here I am using Fs3. So I'll just run it and we can just observe what is actually happening over there. Okay, so this is the signal which is present. So this is the signal. So this is a sinusoidal signal X. Okay. So next, so what I'll do is we'll go for the next condition. So fs1, fs2, fs3 will be decided. If I just check it out, it is 0.4, which is less than 2 times fm. This is equal to 0.5, which is equal to 2 times fm, and this is equivalent to greater than 2 times fm. So if I just observe, so these are the values. So now let us see what will be x1 when we are using the undersampling condition. So this is x1 will be having some values over here. So that is, if I just will just plot it. So these are the samples of this signal. These are the samples of these signals. And if you just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 samples are present for this case when I choose FS1. When I choose FS1, these are the samples which are present. Now here, if I try to get back the original signal from these samples, what happens is, suppose I might use sine interpolation or linear interpolation. So if I just give these samples and try to get back the original signal, then what would happen is I would not get this original information. So what would happen is you would have joined these 2 points, these 2 points. So just a rough estimate. So then that would be the signal what you say assume that which was sent. So that is what we'll be doing in the next case. So here, so this is how the signal would have appeared if I'm using the linear interpolation. So next, so this is undersampling condition. This is undersampling condition. So let me go for the next one, critical sampling. So what happens in this case? So here you can see the number of samples is also increased. Now if I go for sine interpolation, I might get almost a signal equivalent to the one which is represented in the first window. So, but if I use linear, it will come as a triangular wave which will be repeating. So this is how it might appear since I'm just using the line width operation over here. So it will just be joining these points. So this is how it would appear, but I'll tell that it is very close to this one since I am using linear interpolation. Instead of that, if I go for sine interpolation, I would get a wave which is very similar to this one. So next one, so this is uniform sampling. If I go to oversampling, so what happens is the number of samples is more, and I have satisfied the Nyquist criteria also. So if I just try to join these points and see how it would appear, so it would appear somewhat in this form, which is very much closer to the input signal what was sent. Now here, so this is the oversampling condition. So these are the three conditions. So if I just observe it, so this is how it appears. So this one is appearing very close to the input signal what was sampled. Now this one is close enough, but since linear interpolation is there, it is triangular. If I go for sine interpolation, I would have got very much close to the input signal. So this is related to sampling. Now here, one thing to observe is if you do undersampling, what happens is recovery becomes really difficult. And if you go for uniform sampling, I will be able to recover the signal to some extent. And if you do oversampling, right, it is assured that you will be very close to the input signal which was actually sampled. Now this is just sampling process. Now in quantization, what is done is these samples what you have got, if you just observe. So if I just specify that these are the voltages which are represented, say -1, -0.5, 0 volt, 0.5 volt, 1 volt. Now when I take samples, the sample can be at any voltage level. It can be at any voltage level. Say for example, if I use say some 3 bits, say I might start with 000 here. So -1 is represented with 000 and +1 is represented with highest 111. That is, so I'll be having total number of 8 levels. So I have to divide this -1 to 1 into 8 levels. So now here if I just assume, so I have some voltage here which is -1. So when I quantize this, it will be 000. I have a sample which is at 1 volt. This is 111. Now what about this sample? What about this sample? What about this samples? So they are at intermittent positions, and neither falling at 1, neither falling at 0.5. So depending on what type of quantizer is there, what is happening, whether it is a uniform, non-uniform quantizer, mid-trade, mid-rise quantizer, depending on that, some digital values will be assigned to this case. So here, say for example, let me just assume that this is very close to 1. So what I'll do is I'll assign the closest digital value to this one, which is 111. So this I might be doing. But if there are more number of levels, that is the case over here. If I consider more number of levels, right? In this case, then what will be happening is if I use say 4 bits, then what would happen? I would have 2 raised to 4 number of representations. That is 16 levels. So you can imagine you are increasing the resolution. You are increasing the resolution, thereby you are increasing the representation which will be available. So this is with respect to sampling. And quantization, you are assigning some digital values. So just come back here. So that is what is represented here. So the same thing, just another representation so that it will be clear enough. So this is the analog signal. This entire thing is the analog signal, and I want its digital equivalent. I want its digital equivalent. So first thing what I do is I take the samples of these signals based on the sampling frequency. So that is where you get the discrete signal. So after sampling, you get the samples, and those signals or whatever samples you have got, we classify it as discrete signals. That is in terms of x of n. Now here, just for example, what has he done is he has taken. So in sampling, what you do is you do the digitization of the time axis. You do the digitization of the time axis. So at 0, you take one sample. Next sample you will be taking only after the sampling period. So next sample will be somewhere here, and based on that, you will be assigning some value to that. So here, if I just take, this is the value. So in the same way, after every TS seconds, I'll be taking one sample. So in sampling, you are digitizing the time axis. So once you get these samples, right? Once you get the samples, you pass it through quantization. So quantization, indirectly what we specify is it is the digitization of the amplitude. It is the digitization of the amplitude. So here both the things are given together. Both the things are given together, and we are just terming it as a digitization grid. So here we can see that the same signal is represented over here, and what is done is, so this is the samples what I'm taking based on the sampling frequency. So wherein I am digitizing the timing axis. So I start with the 0th position. So 0th position voltage is 0. Next sample is taken at this point, which is somewhere here. So it might be, if I take this as voltage, right? If I just represent it as somewhere here over more than say 1 volt, just for example. Next sample at 2, the sample is actually over here. Next sample, which is here. So similarly, we continue. Similarly, we continue. Now, once I get these samples, I pass it through quantization. Now here in quantization, here what we have done is we have just taken say 10 levels of representation. If the voltage falls within this, what should be the value represented? If the voltage falls within this, what should be the value represented? Say since we have 10, so 4 bits at least. So this will be 0, 0, 0. So this sample will be assigned 0, 0, 0. Next sample is somewhere here, which is close to this level, which is close to this level. So this sample value will be assigned with 0, 0, 1, 0. Next one here, which is close to 3. So this one will be assigned with 0, 0, 1, 1. So this sample, if you just say it is not close to 3, it is close to 1. So this sample will be assigned with 0, 0, 1, 0. So on, I continue with the assignments with the digital assignment for each of the samples what you have considered. So this is what is happening. So this is what will be happening in case of the quantization. So this gives rise to PCM signal. That is, both these steps together will give rise to the PCM signal. So this is actually a theoretical aspect behind PCM. Now let us see how we can implement the same in case of using the simulation. So already I have opened Simulink. So now what I'll be doing is I'll be adding the blocks as per the requirement. So first I need to add a source. So what I'll be doing is I'll be considering a sine wave source. So we can see so many this thing is there. Here we have a sine wave function which falls under maths operation. Sorry, I will take this one that is sine wave which falls under sources sine waves. So you have to take add it to the model. So I have added a sine wave. So this sine wave falls under Simulink sources sine wave. So next block, I require a sampler. So in order to do that, I take a zero order hold. So which helps us to a kind of say sample and hold kind of a function. So if I use this, so which is a zero order hold, so it will take samples and hold those samples. It will take those samples and hold it for some time. So I'll add this block. So this block gets added. So I'll just connect this. So these two are connected. So here I should be getting some sampling, sampled information. So what I'll do is I'll just check what is the overall result of this using the scope. So I'll add this scope. So now I'll not do any changes. So let us see, I'll just save this and let us see what will be the overall result. So first thing I am trying to get the samples of this analog signal. Now I'll just run this model. Okay, everything is fine. Now it has run. So let me see what will be available in the scope now. So this is what is available in the scope. So let us see what is actually the input. So so what I'll do is I'll increase the number of ports, layout. So at second this one I'll be applying the sample value, and for this one I'll be applying the input. So I'll run this. So what I'm getting, a sine wave, and here I'm getting sample and hold information. I'm getting sample and hold information, which are nothing but the samples what we had got. So this is the one which we saw in the PPT also. These are the signals what we saw in the PPT. So I sample and hold those. So I'll be getting the samples. Say here, if you just see at this is the sampling period. This is the sampling period. Now here, if I just want to see what are the properties of that block, so you can just double click. So here it is time based amplitude, frequency is 1 radian per second. So based on radian per second, you should be estimating the values. Now this is zero order hold. I have nothing much to change over here. So what I can control is I'll be able to control this particular case. So suppose if I make it higher, right, I might be uh, I might be providing the other conditions. So we'll just see what happens. So here we can see now this why this happens is because it is generated by the system. So which basically again use sampling itself. So this is not supported. Let's see instead of 10, so go for 5. So what is happening in this case is again I'm not getting the proper samples over there. So I'll just keep it 1 and I'll run it in that form. So in that case, what is happening is I'm able to get sine wave and I'm getting these samples over. These are the samples. So now what I should do is, so two things are okay now, I'm getting the samples. Next, I should pass this to the quantizer. I should pass this to the quantizer. So in this case, I have a block called as a quantizer. So here I have a quantizer. So I'll add this block. So this is the quantizer. Okay. So quantizer is provided with the input which is relevant to the samples of the input signal, which is relevant to the sample of the sine wave in this case. So now let us see what will be the quantizer result. So which is given to the third port. So I'll just change the layout over here since 3 ports are there. So 3 ports. So now I'll run this. So first was the input analog signal. Then I took the samples. We saw the samples, and I have given it to the quantizer. So let us see what happens in the quantizer. So here you can see some representations are given over here. Now what is happening is since it is all dependent on what is the quantization bits, how many bits you are using. Now here if you just observe this signal that is the quantization, So this is the input sine wave. This is the 0 volt output, which is the sampling information, and this is the quantizer result. So what is quantizer doing? Quantizer is taking these samples and assigning zeros and ones to it. Here I'm not able to represent because it is in again different this thing I have to go ahead. So here based on the samples, it will be assigning zeros and ones. So that zeros and ones are represented over here. So these are the different levels. These are the different levels. So now, if you just observe, this sample is also having the same value. This sample is also having the same value. This sample is also having the same value. So what is happening is, I have in from this one, I can just make out that there are very less number of bits which are used by the quantizer. So due to which, what is happening is here it is appearing completely flat. Here it is completely flat. So if I try to recover, what happens is the quantization noise gets added over here. So which actually again poses problems at the receiving end. Sampling I have done proper, but quantization if I am not doing properly, then I'll be adding the quantization noise. Again, you have so many parameters over there like granular noise, then sampling this thing, overload noise. So these all things come into existence. So now what I do is I double click the quantizer. Quantization interval is around zero point 0.5. So what I'll do is interval is nothing but the time period. Time period. So this it is a zero point 0.5. So I'll reduce it and I'll make it very small. So let us see what happens in that case. I'll make it as 0.1 and I'll try to see what is happening. So some changes have happened. So if I have changed it to a zero point 0.5, right? For every 0.5, what is the sample? And it is assigning some zeros and ones to it. So these are the quantization outputs. So now we can see that the quantization noise has reduced to a very larger extent. So this is with respect to sampling and quantizing. So once I get this quantized information, this is nothing but the PCM result. So this part is nothing but the PCM result, pulse code modulated signal for this input. So now instead of putting it in, so this is sometimes what happens is I should this inform before transmitting it at the other end. I should encode these values and then send this information. So what I can do is I can add an encoder over there. I think you have studied the information theory and coding wherein you deal with these terms, encoding, decoding. So what you do is before transmitting it on the channel, right, you can encode that signal and then transmit it. So you can utilize those also over here. So now what I'll do is I'll be inserting an encoder between this block. So what kind of encoder will just check encoder. So I'll be taking a uniform encoder, so which is present in the DSP system toolbox. I'll add this. So for this encoder, right, I'll be encoding the PCM signals. I'll be encoding the PCM signals. So now I'll just check out what is this encoded results. We'll not discuss much on this. We'll just see what results we'll be getting. So I have added, I have changed. So I just change the layout. the encoded signal will be received at the receiving end. So let us assume now we are not putting any modulation block over here, just for simple this thing. Actually, if I have to go ahead, I have to put modulation block and then transmit the signal. So now we'll not complicate that. We'll just try to see in a simpler form. So now uniform encoder result is transmitted to the receiving end. Now at the receiving end, I should do the reverse process. So in order to do the reverse process, first I should decode, and using the other information, I should be able to get back the original sine wave. So now in order to do that, I'll be using the other one, that is uniform decoder. I'll be using the reverse one, that is the uniform decoder. So that is, this is the uniform decoder. Now let us see what will be the result of this. Bit should be set. So here I'm not able to get back the decoded information that I should be getting back this information, because PCM signal is given to the uniform encoder. Now this encoder result is received at the receiving end, and that has to be decoded back. So it should be decoded back to the PCM signal what was sent. Now here what I should do is I should check here, and if I check this one, so this is uniform encoder. How many bits you're using? You're using 8 bits. But for decoder, how many bits you're using? You're using 8 bits, because of which I'm not able to get back the original information. So these two should be same. So I'll apply it. No, I have made the change. I have made both as 8 bits. So let me see whether I'll be able to get it. Okay, somewhat I'm able to get back the decoded information. Decoded information. Now, what happens is, since we are doing it in Simulink, and these are pretty simple steps what we have obtained. After this process, right, actually we should have a block which takes this information, which takes the zeros and ones, and maps it to the voltage representations. So if this is 000, it is 0 volt. If this is 001, say for example, it is 1 volt. If this is say 0010, then it is mapped to say 1.2 volt, something in this form. So now after mapping those, I'll be getting back the sampled information, and then what I'll be doing is I'll be using the interpolation in order to get back the signal. Now here what we do is, since we are just passing the sine wave and then obtaining the encoded and decoded information, what we'll do is we'll just pass it through a filter. We'll pass it through a filter, which is an analog filter. So which does those all processes for me. So it is the analog filter. So analog filter, which is a Butterworth low pass filter. So now I have a filter over here. So filter will be given the decoder output. So let us see what happens when I pass the signal through the filter. So now what I expect is, because the filter is designed for all those purposes, that is the passband, everything, if you set properly, I should be getting back the original information. Let's see what I'll be getting. So here you can see that the filter is giving you some information which is in this. So this is, now since I'm just taking the sine wave, passing it, I'm using the filter at the other end, and I'm able to recover the signal in this form.